Hello.
Then, now,
Countdown to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello, welcome to episode number 147 of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We're here for SmackDown for the May the 9th, 2025. And yeah, on the road to, on the SmackDown end, Judgment Day, where last week we found out where what will be the Women's World Championship defense on that show as IYO SKY defends inside the Elimination Chamber. It'll be her defending against Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, Utami, Julia, and Nova Nebula. Plus, we learn that Xavier Woods and Neville will go one-on-one once again. And, yeah. Tonight, we have Drew McIntyre against Bronson Reed. We have, what else did we announce? JC Jane against Jordan Grace. And Ilya Dragunov will call out Randy Orton. And, Liberty Championship match. How could I forget? Megasis versus Kyrie Part 4, I think. Yeah. But yes, without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We kick off the show with MVP in the Hurt Business walking down to the ring. And MVP goes, surprise, surprise. Last week, the almighty Bobby Lashley reminded the whole damn world who he is. The almighty Bobby Lashley had to sit back and watch Sami Zayn and Buster Gates in the main event of SmackDown fighting for his World Heavyweight Championship. Now, there was something really important before the match that I had to run down with Buster. And that's Sami Zayn and the fakeness of it all, because Sami Zayn has always tried to benefit him by putting on this good guy act. And I was sick of seeing Buster get walked all over the way he was. And then last week he failed to pull the trigger, and lo and behold, he lost. But that won't happen anymore. The almighty Bobby Lashley's back, he's focused, and he's looking to become a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. Then Buster and the Revolution interrupt. He goes, MVP, for once in your life, shut your dumb ass up and listen to what I've got to say. Last week, I understand what you were trying to do. You thought motivate me. But what you're really doing was sticking your nose in business that don't concern you. You see, since I won the Andre the God Memorial Battle Royal, I earned a shot to be the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Bobby Lashley did not, so he was temporarily at the back of the line. And things didn't go my way last week, but I'd rather stand here without being World Heavyweight Champion than to win it with your assistance. Because, and see, that's why you're a loser, Buster. That's why you're a loser. You said you wanted to win the World Heavyweight Championship by yourself and not with my assistance. Well, do you see the World Heavyweight Championship over your shoulder right now? Because I don't. I still see it around Sammy's shoulder. Why is that, Buster? It's because you didn't pull the trigger. Because you still got this idea of friendship with Sami Zayn. But friendships go out the window when you want to be world champion. Now see, Buster, it ain't too late for you to be on the right side of the history. You see, the Hurt Business is always open for business, especially stars the caliber of you. Buster goes, so what are you trying to say? You're saying I sell out and I join the Hurt Business trying to get the World Heavyweight Championship? Is that what you're saying? Because the answer is hell no. I've been trying to fight you guys for so long, I'd rather do anything than join your little group. He just laughs and goes, suit yourself. Hey, what about you? Big Nebo back there. I see you. What do you think? Is the Hurt Business something you want to get in on? Maybe Rufus. Maybe Rufus wants to join the Hurt Business too. He goes, well, that doesn't matter. Because the almighty Bobby Lashley's back and he needs to get back in form. So whichever one of you two wants to swing at the almighty, do it right now. I dare you. And then Nebo steps up, he steps up to Bobby Lashley. So we're going to open up SmackDown with Nebo versus Bobby Lashley in what should be a hoot. It's an 81. It's actually a bit lower than I thought, but I guess Bobby's a little bit washed. And I don't think he's as... Yeah, because I said this to be a brawl. And I don't think he's as good at brawling as he should be. Again, because he's declining. So yeah, Nebo actually outscores him. But Lashley does pick up the win with a spear in 12:58. 77 for Lashley, 80 for Nebo. And yeah, Bobby Lashley picks up the win here tonight over one member of the Revolution. After the match, the Hurt Business do what the Hurt Business do best. They hurt people, and they continue the assault on the Revolution. You know, Sammy, notably, you know, he doesn't come out to make the save for Rufus as he gets attacked by the Hurt Business. And the Hurt Business leave the Revolution laying here tonight. We then cut to Adam Pearce in his office. You know, he's just minding his own business. And we hear a knock on the door, and he goes, "Come in!" And he just sighs, because Cammy, Utami, and Julia walk in. He goes, "How can I help you, ladies?" And Cammy goes, I'm here for the apology." And Pearce looks at me and goes, "What apology?" "Come on, Adam, you know. Last week you made... Like, it happens, you know. In the heat of the moment, we all make promises that we can't fulfill. And I understand that you need to, you know, make amends with the WWE fans now before it ends up coming to bite you in the ass and you lose your job over it." He says, "What on earth are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, last week, you know, we had the chaotic opening to SmackDown, you know, crazy, you know, Io, Candice, Dakota, all of that stuff. And Nova thinking she's the champion, then us two minding our own business. And you announced the Elimination Chamber for Judgment Day." He goes, "Yes." He goes, "Well..." And then I watched the rest of SmackDown. I watched the main event. Buster Gates, by proxy of winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, got himself a shot at the World Championship, correct? You still following me? He goes, "Yes." He goes, "So, why is it that when Buster Gates wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, he gets a one-on-one championship match with the World Heavyweight Champion Sami Zayn? But when Julia wins the Battle Royal to earn herself a World Championship match, she's in there with 4 other women inside a big steel structure. Okay, so now you've realized the error of your ways that the Elimination Chamber can't be happening because Julia is the number 1 contender." And Pearce goes, "Well, I'll be damned. For once, I can see some of the validities in your complaints. However, my answer to that is this. Standing to your right is the former Women's World Champion, who also is entitled to a rematch for the championship. Now, I can scrap the Elimination Chamber and forego Utami's rematch for the World Championship if you really want me to, or the Elimination Chamber can stay as it is, and you can have 2 participants in the Elimination Chamber, which is double the chance of walking out Women's World Champion." Because I don't really think that's true, because if it was Julia one-on-one, it would be a 50-50. But she sort of turns around, looks at Julia, looks at Utami, like looks at both their faces as they both clearly have different ideas here. And she goes, I can see the benefit of having 2 participants in the Elimination Chamber, so it's effectively a 2v1, v1, 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 and then when it comes down to these 2, Julia can, you know, use her opportunity to give the championship back to Utami. So, Pearce, I still think the decision to run the Elimination Chamber was incompetent, but we now have a strategy. You've now signed an extra death warrant to give the championship back to us, to Queendom Omega, and to Utami Hayashishita. Actually, they leave. Julia was the last to leave. She sort of like stands back for a little bit while like looking confused as Cammy walks away, like, "Huh, I see." And then she follows him out, and Pearce just goes, "Oh, great. More people in here coming to vent their frustrations at me, and then again realizing I was right." We then cut off campus to Andre Chase University. You know, Keith Lee and Andre Chase getting all set up for the Chase U Open evening. The new batch of Chase U students are on the way. And Andre Chase is all excited. He goes, "Keith, it's going to be a great time, you know, the new semester, new students here at Andre Chase University. I'm already seeing great success from Fear and Duke and Shane and Hams. And now it's time to get the next next batch of students rolling and molding the next generation even further. And then they sit there, they take a seat, and he opens the door and he goes, Chase U Open Day is now open. And then we get a time lapse of Keith and Andre just sat and nobody walking in, and like time passing, tumbleweeds blowing through and all that. And he goes, okay, what the hell is going on here? Keith goes, I am perplexed, Mr. Chase. I thought Andre Chase University would be booming. And then he leaves. He looks around. And he comes back and he goes, I see the problem, Mr. Chase. He goes, what is it, Keith? He goes, it seems our posters didn't quite reach the masses because somebody was plastering other posters over the top of them. And he slammed it down, and it's the Pretty Deadly musical poster. Trace goes, Pretty Deadly? They're still trying this musical thing? I thought they gave up on that when, they lost the championships. Keith Lee goes, it seems not, and now we bear the price of this advertisement. And Andre Chase just shakes his head and goes, Keith, it's time for Andre Chase University to dish out some more Andre Chase University-sized ass whoopings. 77, sure. Nice little calm mid-card match here. Jordan Grace defeats JC Jane with a fall from Grace in 8:57. 75 for Jordan, 66 for JC. And yeah, no Solani here tonight, and no Zelina and Fallon. Zelina and Fallon not coming out to help JC. But, when it's the other way around, JC's right there to help them. But yes, Jordan Grace picking up the win here tonight. No, she's still undefeated here on SmackDown. Then get an interview. Dakota's with Kayla. She goes, Dakota Kai, we learned last week that you're going to be very busy these next 2 weeks after this Saturday. Next Saturday in 8 days' time is In Your House Deadline, where you will go one-on-one once again with Candice LeRae. And then a week after that is Judgment Day, where you will be a part of the Women's World Championship Elimination Chamber. Dakota goes, when I wanted to make my way to the top of this company, I knew it came with some hardships. Okay? I've lost a lot of things. I've lost friends. I've gained friends. I've lost friends again. And I'm still in the process of grief. And Candice, she's going to come out here and she's going to blame me for everything. When the reality is that it's Candice's fault. If Candice really wants to be the Women's World Champion, she could end up being the Women's World Champion if she's got what it takes to survive the Elimination Chamber. Unfortunately for her, Kayla, heading into WrestleMania, I still had hope that there was something in my friend that I could save. But now I see that's not the case. Now I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to drag me down to her level. And I'm not going to do it. Not yet. Inside that Elimination Chamber, though, it's anything goes. And whether it's Candice, or hell, even if it's Io or Nova or Utami or Julia, I will be the most ruthless version of myself I can be, and I will walk out once again Women's World Champion. And there's not a damn thing Candice or anybody else can do about it. We then cut to the J-Flow locker room. They're sort of in there, still licking their wounds after last week, when we hear a knock on the door. And Naki looks confused, and she's like, who the hell is that? The door opens up, and it's Harley Cameron. She goes, surprise! And they all look confused. Naki goes, who the hell are you? She goes, did you not get the letter? From Chelsea? Okay, well, this is a little bit awkward. My name is Harley Cameron. You can just call me Harley, because we have clothes like that. And, I hear Chelsea, your old friend, she made her way over to Raw. She wanted to be with you girls, but unfortunately you left Raw to go to SmackDown. But don't worry, she calling me, and I'm gonna replace her. J-Flo was over to look around confused. And he goes, well, can you sing? She goes, yes. Extravagantly. I just don't have a microphone or my guitar right now, so it's going to be a little bit awkward for me to help you and prove that right now. But I understand I have a mission statement from you. Mackie looks confused. She goes, what? She goes, I saw last week that dastardly Megasis took you girls out, and I need to prove that I'm the right choice to be here in J-Flow. So, I'm gonna find that Megacyst, and I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind. And she runs off. And Mackie sort of just leans her head out the locker room, watching her run away. And sort of just shrugs her shoulders. And then one of the other two, Mizuki or Marika, is like, should we not check on her, help her? And Mackie just sighs and goes, ugh, fine! And they will leave. But yeah, Harley Cameron is here. She felt like the perfect fit to replace Chelsea, because I want Chelsea, you know, as a solo star on Raw, but I want a comedy foreign member of this group. So Harley Cameron's in. She feels like a better fit anyway, because she can actually sing and do music and shit. But yes, she's off to find the Megacyst. And she's committed to the bit early, because she's taken her last name off. We then see Sami Zayn's chatting to Nick Aldis about something. We don't hear what he's talking to him about, but like, as the conversation finishes, Nick Aldis goes back into the office, and then Sami like walks down the hallway. When Buster so goes, hey! He goes, hey Buster. He goes, what the hell was that? He goes, what? Tonight, Bobby Lashley, her business, MVP, all of that, going out there getting all up in our grill once again, beating my ass, my friend's ass, after the match, because they've got the numbers game, because I thought you had my back. Where the hell were you? He goes, listen, Buster. You know, I understand frustrations. You know, last week you were close, you came up short, and I was actually talking to Nick about. He goes, I don't care what you were talking to Nick about. Where were you tonight when I needed you? Nowhere. Okay? Because you're always back here being all for yourself, doing whatever you can because you're the world champion, don't nobody else matter. But listen here, Sammy, you wouldn't have got that champion if it weren't for me. And if you don't keep running your mouth and you're not backing up your end of the bargain, I'll be the one to take it off you. Now listen, the Hurt Business, they're still out and large and they want that championship for you. So if you want my help, you better pull your finger out and help me when I need it. And he just storms off, and Sammy's like, what the hell? I was busy doing stuff, Buster, you know, I'll be there next time. 78, fine, we'll take that. Creed Brothers defeat Pretty Deadly, because Andre Chase, he walks out and he's got a scrunched up Pretty Deadly, the musical poster in his hand. He goes, hey, what the hell is this? And then they sort of see it, like, oh god, he knows. And then, as they're distracted, the Creeds pin Elton Prince to win the match. 85 for Julius Creed, 84 for Brutus Creed, 83 for Kit Wilson, 78 for Elton Prince. And then after the match, William Regal takes a mic, he gets into the ring with the Creeds, and he goes, last week was the start of a new era here in the SmackDown Tag Team division. You see, the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, two gentlemen who've been on my radar for a very, very long time, almost 2 decades, as a matter of fact. Finally here in WWE, finally proving that they are one of the greatest tag teams to ever do it. However, my Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius Creed, been training with me, with Daniel Bryan, for a long time, and they're finally ready to make that next step up after years of being overlooked. Which is why it's going to be a great honour at Judgment Day for Julius and Brutus to challenge you, Alex Shelley, you, Chris Sabin, for those WWE Tag Team Championships. See you there, boys. Let's show them what the SmackDown Tag Team division can really do. So yeah, tag title match set for Judgment Day. Mostly Machine Gun's next defense is against the Creed brothers. Big win for the Creeds 2 weeks in a row, and yeah, we knew they were next in line, but they're getting their shot at the pay-per-view at Judgment Day. We then see Kayla with Io and Kyrie. We cut to Io and Kyrie just sort of like chatting, and then Kyrie walks off to go for her title defense coming up next. And then Kayla walks up to Io. She goes, IYO SKY, of course, busy night for Kyrie Sane tonight, but of course, even busier night for you at Judgment Day when you're going to be a part of the Elimination Chamber. Your first defense of the championship of this reign, and you've got quite possibly the biggest task any champion can be tasked with. And Io goes, at WrestleMania, I won back my title. I will not lose my title already. I don't care how many people want this championship. I've won the Elimination Chamber before. I'll win it again. I don't care if it's Nova, Utami, Julia, Candice, Dakota. Anyone who gets in my way will understand in the Elimination Chamber why I am the champion. And Kairi will defeat the Megasis, and she'll keep her championships, and we will continue to reign both as champions. And Kayla goes, Io, thank you for your time, and she walks off. And then, like, the camera lingers on Io for a little bit. We just see a hand, like, pat her on the shoulder. She turns around, it's Harley Cameron. She goes, Hi, Harley, I'm new here. Did you say Kairi was wrestling the Megasis? And Io's like, yeah. She goes, can you point me in the direction of which she went? And Io just sort of, like, points towards the ring area. She goes, thank you so much. You know, you're lovely. I think I'm going to like it round here. And she runs off in the direction that Io pointed her in. We then see Aussie Open backstage. And Kylan Rodgers is very frustrated. He goes, what is happening around here? You know, last week we finally got a chance to step back up in tag team division. No, we're no longer bound by Chris Jericho holding us back. We got to show the world what we could do together as a tag team. And we blew it. You blew it. I know we can do better. I know I can do better. So tonight, I'm going to make a statement. He turns to the camera and he goes, tonight, I understand you're looking for someone, but it's not going to be him you're going to get. It's going to be me. I'll see you in the ring tonight. Ilya Dragunov. Say, Kylan Rodgers calling out Ilya Dragunov for a match tonight on SmackDown. 80 rated match. Yeah, I knew I put this in the middle of the show because A, DQ finish, and B, the repetitive booking note. But this is the last time this will be booked one-on-one. It's fine. This is the end of an era right here. But it's Kairi and the Megasis for the championship. Megasis getting her rematch, obviously. When you're an undefeated champion for as long as she was, obviously you get one. And it's sort of like, well, not really like the WrestleMania match, because it's a different match entirely, because now Kairi's in it. You know, we don't need to, like, build to Kairi's comeback for so long, because we know Kairi can win. So it's sort of more 50-50. And Kairi does, you know, go for the big powerbomb. She hit at WrestleMania again, but the Megasis, like, takes it and, like, lands on her feet, takes Kairi down, and she gets Kairi up. She hits the Fate's Descent on Kairi Sane. Kairi kicks out. Kairi gets fired up again. She hits the big intercept, the spear. She goes up top for the insane elbow. Megasis moves out of the way, and then Megasis backs up like she's gonna go and big boot Kairi Sane. And she turns around. Harley Cameron leaps on her back and starts raining punches down for a DQ. And the match is called off. Megasis technically wins because it's a DQ, but she doesn't win the championship. Harley Cameron, the Megasis is feeling the wrath right now. That's what she gets for bullying J-Flo last week. J-Flo do run out as the fight's going on, so does Siren Yoko, you know, to try and, like, pull the Megasis off. And then she starts shouting at Harley, like, who the hell are you? What are you even doing out here? She goes, I'm going to get you. How dare you? How dare you fight my friends like that? And then the J-Flo guys are trying to fight off Queen Demo, or hold back Harley. Yoko and Saya are trying to hold back the Megasis. And then they all leave the ring. Kairi's sort of just in the middle of all this. Like, what the hell is going on here? And then, yeah, big chaos as Harley Cameron causes the DQ finish in this Women's Liberty Championship match. And we still don't know who the right, but we do. It's Kairi, but maybe the Megasis could have won here tonight. We don't know for sure. We never will. Nova Nebula vignette. And she says, ever since I came back last year, I've just been on the up and up and up. I'm making up for lost time. I won the Queen of the Ring and I became WWE Women's Champion. I beat Charlotte Flair. I finally lived up to everything I was supposed to be. And now the Elimination Chamber? The Elimination Chamber is supposed to stop me. I heard IYO talk earlier on tonight about how she's won an Elimination Chamber in the past. Well, guess what? So have I. That's how I got to WrestleMania the first time, by winning the Elimination Chamber. I can do that all over again. And with this time I have a championship on the line, a championship that I've never held, a championship I need to hold, I deserve to hold. I'd hate to be the 5 other girls in my way, because come Judgment Day, it's gonna be Judgment Day for all of you, and there's gonna be one woman standing tall at the end of it, one women's world champion, me. See ya at Judgment Day, girls. We then cut to backstage, and the J-Flow girls have finally calmed Harley down. She's still like, she's like kicking stuff. She goes, I just wanted to help my friends, okay? I saw how you lot got disrespected by that Mega Sis last week, and I know she needs to know she needs to be put in her place, that stuff don't fly now that Harley's in J-Flow. And Mackie goes, relax, calm down. And then Kyrie storms in. She goes, hey, what was that? And Mackie's like, none of your business, okay? Our business, not yours. Go away. So, like, pie faces her. And Kyrie gets frustrated. She, like, shoves Mackie back. And then another fight almost breaks out. But the J-Flow girls, again, have to hold everybody apart. And then Kyrie goes, next week. Or she's, like, shouting in Japanese, obviously, because they both understand. But the gist of it is that next week, she will defend the Liberty Championship against Mackie after the bullshit that happened in tonight's match. We then see Candice come down to the ring. She goes, oh, I get it. Everybody else gets a chance to speak about the Elimination Chamber apart from me. Of course, IYO and Dakota, they get pre-prepped interview time because they're the favorites of the whole thing. But I don't get to speak my piece. Okay, I know why that is. It's because Adam Pearce knows he regrets putting me in the Elimination Chamber. Because I'm going to be the Women's World Champion. I've proven the lengths I will go to get what I need to do done. And now you want to lock me inside a steel structure with IYO, with Dakota? And you expect any other result? Okay? Well, this here is my vow. Okay? Dakota's not even going to make it to the Elimination Chamber because I'm going to put her down. She's not going to stoop to my level. She wants to still hold back on me. Then Deadline is going to be her deadline. And then I'm going to go into the Elimination Chamber, beat every single one of you, and walk out the World Champion. And then finally we can take this place to new heights with a real Women's World Champion we can all be proud of. And as she's speaking, you see Cedric Alexander sort of appear in the ring behind her. And then Cedric grabs Candice LeRae and he hits a lumbar check on Candice LeRae to a big pop. You know, Candice takes, you know, the Cedric Alexander Candice LeRae lumbar check spot. We run that on a random SmackDown. And Cedric grabs the mic and he goes, hey Candice, you tell Johnny that I want my championship and I want a fair shot at it. I don't want you getting up in my business, 'cause I ain't afraid of you no more. Tell Johnny he knows where to find me. Yeah, Cedric. Got a backbone now, it seems. You know, for the last 2 weeks he's sort of been put in his place by Candice LeRae, but he's now said he's had enough, you know. At the end of the day, I can shut this bitch up with a lumbar check, so... 82. Ilya has given us getting stale. That's a lot worse of a match than I was hoping. I guess Kylan's not really over, and Ilya's gimmick is getting stale. I'll change that after the show. But yeah, H-bomb victory. Ilya Dragunov beats Kylan Rodgers. 78 for Ilya, 64 for Kylan. So yeah, nice little match. And then after the match, Ilya grabs the microphone and he goes, Randy, it's been long enough now. Get out here and talk to me. Instead of Randy Orton, he gets AJ Styles. And AJ goes, look, Ilya, look. I know. I'm not Randy Orton, okay? I know I look a little bit more like Randy Orton than I used to, but I'm not Randy Orton. But I want to come out here, Ilya, and say a few things. First and foremost, Ilya, you are one hell of a competitor. You are a future world champion here in WWE. I mean, I've got no doubt about that. Which is why I need to tell you, you don't need Randy Orton. Even if Randy Orton does show up, you should kick his ass at the curb for all these weeks he's left you hanging. I know, I've got history with Randy. I'd do the exact same thing. But most importantly, Ilya, it's not Randy Orton I want to speak to, it's you. Because again, I've wrestled Randy Orton before. But it's guys like you, Ilya. It's guys like you that make me look fondly over on my show SmackDown and know that it's in good hands in the future. It's guys like you that made me want to come here tonight. The house that AJ Styles built. And let the world know that the house that AJ Styles built is no longer up for rent. 'Cause baby, the landlord's coming home. As of today, midnight tonight, this morning, the newest member of the SmackDown roster, the phenomenal AJ Styles. So will you? Nice to speak to you. I hope you can settle whatever business you've got going on. And I hope even more than one day, you and I can do the dance in this ring together. So you have AJ Styles here on SmackDown. What a pickup. Whether it was Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, who knows. But whichever one of them got this deal over the line, fair play. We then get Big E and Kofi backstage. And, they're there. There's a talking stick backstage. It's not Kayla, because Kayla's in the next segment and I can't have her teleport. So there's some interviewer that isn't Kayla Braxton holding a microphone, asking them what they think about Big E. Or not Big E, about Xavier Woods. And then Kofi goes, Woods, he seems very determined to make a name for himself again here on SmackDown, and this new change of attitude, I don't know if I quite like it, but I understand where Woods is coming from. Woods just wants what's best for the New Day. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. And then Biggie goes, Woods, he's our brother. Woods will always be our brother. And he's trying to get me and Kof to buy into this new idea of what the New Day should be. And I'm going to say it's going to take a little time. I'm not sure if the way Woods is going about things is how we need to go about things, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at Judgment Day when he's one-on-one with Neville. But know this. Whatever Woods chooses to do is what we all choose to do. Whether we end up with Woods or Woods comes back home to us, the New Day is forever, and it will stay that way. Here's Kayla. She's in Gorilla with Ember Moon. And Ember goes, Kayla goes, Ember, another week. Another match you requested with Adam Pearce. Now you've got Shayna Baszler one-on-one here on SmackDown. Great opportunity for you to continue your rise here on SmackDown. What made you ask for this match? And Ember just looks at Kayla and goes, I've done some thinking over the past week, Kayla. I know my worth around here. Which is why tonight, after I win, I've got something I need to say. Another 90 rated match. Ember Moon, Shayna Baszler. Ember does pick up the win of Eclipse. in 12:26, 87 for Ember Moon, 83 for Shayna Baszler. And yeah, nice little win. Probably the big win here, because Shayna she's credible, you know. She's a tag competitor, but I make sure to keep her fairly strong. So a win over Shayna Baszler is actually kind of impressive. You know, Aoi loses more often than Shayna does, but probably scores higher. But, so yeah, it's about perception. Then after the match, as promised, Ember Moon takes the mic. She goes, another win here on SmackDown. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired of this. I'm kind of tired of this waiting stuff. This waiting for opportunities. I know I deserve an opportunity to be a champion around here. So, I know the champ is back there listening. I know the champ is busy with this whole elimination chamber thing. But if you're a real fighting champion, which I know you are, because I wouldn't have helped somebody who wasn't a fighting champion, and we've done this dance a couple of times before. IYO SKY. You want to make Elimination Chamber, you want to be the best damn women's world champion you could be? Well, you can't be that without proving it to me first. So if you're a real fighting champion, IYO, I officially send out the challenge to you. Me, you, next week for the Women's World Championship. Yeah, Ember Moon, a big challenge. She wants IYO SKY next week for the Women's World Championship. We then see Johnny Gargano, he's backstage, when Candice just bursts into the locker room in an absolute mood and like just gets in his face and goes, what are you doing? What's so busy? Okay, what's got you so occupied back here? And he goes, I'm just preparing for Velocity, I've got a match tonight. She goes, oh, do you really? Got a match on Velocity that you couldn't help your wife get beat up out in that ring? She goes, I don't want to get involved in your business. Because it's your business. Cedric's not my business, he's your business, yet he's out there driving his knees into my back, okay? Are you going to do something about him? Johnny goes, well, as far as I'm concerned, me and Cedric, we're good. You know, I beat him last week, and you know, we shook hands, nice show of respect, competitors, and I'm still the champion. Candice goes, no, you're not good. Okay, this isn't over. You didn't defend that championship against Cedric and move on, okay? You've got to get revenge for me. Johnny goes, okay, well, what do you want me to do? I need you to find Cedric, and you need to give him a piece of his own medicine. You need to beat Cedric to a point where he's never going to think about chasing after me, I mean you, or your championship ever again, okay? Johnny goes, Christ. Okay, I don't understand why Cedric did that to you, okay? I'll go talk to him. Johnny goes, yeah, you will. Next week, we have 2 championship matches set. They're both women's championship matches, in fact. The first is for the Women's Liberty Championship. You know, after the scuffle earlier on tonight and new J-Flow associate Tarly Cameron getting involved and causing a DQ in Kyrie's defense against the Megasis, it will be Mackie challenging Kyrie for the Women's Liberty Championship next week here on SmackDown. And I guess it's now been made official per the office of Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. There will be a Women's World Championship match next week on SmackDown. If IYO SKY wants to make it to the Elimination Chamber, she has Ember Moon for the championship next week here on SmackDown. And we now need one more championship match set for Judgment Day, which is a WWE Tag Team Championship match as Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin of the Motor City Machine Guns defend against Julius and Brutus Creed of the Creed Brothers, following their victories over the past 2 weeks here on SmackDown. A4-rated main event. Sure, there's been no blue matches on this show, but you know, it's been stacked with segments, so it's fine. Drew McIntyre and Bronson Reed. And yeah, in the end, Drew McIntyre does cheat to get the win. He can't beat Big Bronson clean. But actually, no, I imagine the finish is as Bronson Reed goes up for the tsunami, Oba Femi's music hits, and like Bronson Reed gets distracted, and Oba does walk out onto the ramp. You know, he does his Oba Femi strut onto the stage. Bronson Reed gets off the top rope. He goes to try and bring the fight to Oba, calls him into the ring. Oba stops at the bottom of the ramp. Reed turns around. Claymore. 1, 2, 3. 83 for Drew McIntyre. 80 for Big Bronson Reed. So yeah, for the first time since WrestleMania, the US Champion has showed up on SmackDown. And after the match, he gets into the ring. And he picks up Bronson Reed and he powerbombs Bronson Reed. The ring shakes as Bronson Reed hits the mat. And, Lord Bando is with Bronson Reed. He's sort of become Bronson Reed's manager now. Swerve is away. And, as Bando gets into the ring, Drew McIntyre, as he goes, he's, leaves the ring. He's halfway down the steps and he sees Bando down on the ground, praying over Bronson Reed. He turns back around. He gets into the ring. He claymores Lord Bando in the face. Obafemi, he disappears through the crowd at this point. Bronson Reed's left laying. And Drew just laughs. He goes, I told you. You're going to end up just like him. Come on. He sort of just picks up Lord Bando and he carries him over his shoulder. And as security and shit try and get to Drew, he keeps shoving security guards out of the way. And he goes, no, I'm taking him where he needs to go. He's going to the hospital. And he goes all the way out to the parking lot. You see a hospital or an ambulance in the parking lot. And he drops Bando on the phone. He goes, I'm telling you, go to the hospital. Tell Swerve I said hi. He opens the ambulance doors. Big pop. Swerve's inside. Drew turns around. He swerve stomps Drew from the inside the ambulance. Takes Drew down. Grabs some sort of pipe or some shit that he finds on the floor. Tries to swing it at Drew. And Drew scurries away. And, doctors are checking on Lord Bando on the outside. Swerve, is invisible walled. He can't chase after Drew. But he glares at him from a distance. He goes, yeah, you better run. And he goes to check on Lord Bando. And that's how SmackDown goes off the air. Swerve is back. He was waiting inside that ambulance all night. I guess. Wrestling logic. But, yeah. Swerve is back and him and Drew are seemingly not finished. 86 great show. We'll take that. What matters more is what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'll see you on the other side for Velocity. Velocity kicks off with a 6-man tag team match. The Young OGs, trio of Javon Evans, Cappuccino Jones, and Leon Slater are in action against Dustin Waller, Kylan King, and Titus Alexander. 3 new signings to NXT. They just thought I'd put them in a trio, see how they get on. And yeah, apparently Titus Alexander is rusty. That's why he gets a 23. But we'll get him, I think Sean Legacy was the other one. They'll end up wrestling at Line NXT, so it's fine. But yeah, that's a nice win for the Young OGs trio. Javon Evans pinning Titus Alexander in 14-10. 69 for Leon Slater, 33 for Cappuccino, 73 for Javon, 23 for Titus, 43 for Kylan King, and a 44 for Dustin Waller. Then after the match, Javon Evans takes the microphone. He goes, yo, so you saw last week. Well, I've got some apologizing to do. David Martin, you were looking mad sus, but you ain't one of them. But now, I've got a bone to pick because I don't know who those guys are. And me and my young OGs, we're looking to get our hands on those guys and make them pay for attacking all of us. So, if you ain't want to be a bunch of bitches about it, get your ass out here right now and let's fight without those masks, man to man. I was interrupted by Saquon Sugars. He comes to the ring. He goes, yo, Javon, listen. I know it's been a while, I got hurt for a little bit, and it's great to see you guys have found Cappuccino to fill in my absence. But you guys may bite enough more than you can chew with these guys. These guys seem dangerous. And also, Javon, I don't know if you can count. There's 4 of them. There's only 3 of you guys. I don't know if David Martin is with you or against you or not. But one thing's for sure. You're going to need a 4th guy. And as one of the original Young OGs who helps you get that championship match at WrestleMania, I say I'm ready to step in and fight by your side again. And Javon, he looks happy, goes, well, the numbers game, can't be against us now. I was going to call upon David Martin, but it's great to call upon my old friend, Saquon Sugars. Let's take down these guys together. But they're being scared here tonight, but boys, wherever you are next week, we challenge you 4v4 to an 8-man tag team match here on Velocity. And then Shaquan takes the mic and he goes, that's right. With these guys looking around, nobody gets to be safe here on Velocity. But that's why we gotta take the fight to them. We gotta put them down, extinguish these guys, and expose who these masked goofs are once and for all. So yeah, next week, these 4 men, the, I guess now, fully united 4 young OGs, taking on the 4 mysterious attackers here on Velocity. We then cut to RJ Cities with the Undisputed Era. And he's sort of just tugging on his neck. Tugging on his collar. And he goes, boys, you'll never guess what's happened. So, last week, we had a 6-man tag team match that was won by Hideo Itami, Warren Seaver, and Uriah Connors. And that was to set up a 6-man trios match here tonight against Angelico, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde to determine who would be the next challengers for your championships. Well, I've just got word that Uriah Connors is going to be out for some time, so they ain't going to be the number 1 contenders because they can't compete in this tournament. So that means that Angelico, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde are your number 1 contenders. But they can't compete for the championships tonight because Joaquin Wilde's had travel issues and he can't make the show. These things happen on a live broadcast, so sorry boys. But I did have an opponent in line for one of you if you wanted to take it. And Roddy goes, I'll take it. You two can rest up for the week. So yeah, this is a shoot, by the way, brother. Well, Joaquin Wilde, I've said, has travel issues. Uriah Connors legitimately got injured on NXT this week, and he's out of action for a couple of months. So they had to pull out from the tournament. So I was like, okay, then I guess Angelico, Cruz, and Joaquin are just going to get the title shot. But I went to book Velocity in, and for some reason, maybe anyone who knows this game inside and out better than I do can answer this question. For some reason, I wasn't able to book him on this show. He's not injured. The only thing I can think that it could be is that I'm currently negotiating a new deal with him, and he's in NXT. So, like, I don't know, like, if you can't borrow developmental people if you're negotiating a new deal with them. But yeah, for some reason, and a reason that's less clear to me than Uriah Connors being injured, I couldn't book Joaquin Wilde on this show either, so neither of those trios could be completed on this show. So we've just had to pivot, and instead Roderick Strong's going to wrestle Dante Rios coming up next. That match gets a 76, so that's a pretty good replacement match. And yeah, Dante Rios does pin Roderick Strong. You know, Roddy is a Cruiserweight Trios champion, which I guess technically means currently, right now, he's not a singles guy. And Dante Rios is, so he wins the power scaling and wins this match. 65 for Dante, 75 for Roddy. And also I just want to, get Dante heated up. I have him as a future... Once the Johnny Garganos and Undisputed Eras of the world are gone from Velocity, Dante's one of the guys, obviously him and Javon and guys like that I want to have as the figureheads of this division. So yeah, give him a nice, decently sized win over a current champion. But also it's a trios champion, so beating him in singles action doesn't hurt him too much. But yeah, Dante Rios have a nice win here tonight. Speaking of singles champions, we then see Hook. Last week he shocked the world. He beat Dudley Davis to win the Speed Championship. And it's just a Hook promo where he's one of them promos where he's walking through the streets. And he goes, last week, I captured this. My first piece of championship gold in WWE. A lot of people wrote me off. Didn't think I belonged here. Thought I was just a legend's son. But now I've proven that I'm one of the most dominant cruiserweights in the world. And the championship of being able to defeat your opponents quickly now rests on my shoulders. Come one, come all to the division. Send for my name. Look out for the signal. and I'll appear. 86 for his main event. Gargano, he did say he was in action on Velocity tonight. He's against Oro Mensah. The match goes 15-23. He wins with the Hurt Stoner. Non-title match. Johnny Gargano wins on 91. Oro Mensah over 74. After the match, though, Gargano grabs the microphone. And you can see he's sort of like, he's going over what he's going to say in his head. He's like thinking to himself. And he goes, Cedric Alexander, I bet you thought we were finished, but that's not true. You see, I want one more match with you to settle things between us once and for all. You and I, Cruiserweight Championship, Judgment Day, in a ladder match. So yeah, Johnny Gargano has had a change of heart and wants one more match with Cedric at Judgment Day, ladder match. Yeah, let's see how that goes. But yes, that ends Velocity, which gets us a 77. The other two young OGs are apparently slightly overused, but it's fine. Leon Slater is another one that, you know, once the tide is settled, I want to be, like, as one of the top figureheads on the Cruiserweight division. I just saw his name there, and that reminded me. But yeah, well, that was what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below. And I'll see you next time for... No, I won't. I was going to say I'll see you next time for Raw. I completely forgot. Backlash is next. See you then.